Hi everyone, my name is Shamash and we're going through the different elements of the calendar from Action for Happiness, and today it's about tuning into a new TV station or radio channel, and we're going to do a little experiment. We're going to start going to some random websites and maybe some random YouTube channels today. Slightly risky. I'll be back in 30 seconds. Hey, I want to talk to you today about the filter bubble effect on the internet. So, one of the things that a lot of websites do is that they collect these things called cookies, and they collect our history, and they keep showing us more stuff that they think we would be interested in. And it's using all the big computers and servers and stuff, and they find that the things that we visited before are the ones that we're most likely to find interesting again. But what happens is you get a filter bubble effect. So you keep ending up seeing the same information. So if you're of a particular political party interest, you'll keep getting that information. If you're on another party, you'll get all the information about that. If you're interested in certain sports or certain interests, then those videos, those websites will pop up much more often than the others. And so everyone gets a different experience of the internet depending on their past history. And there's a big problem with this. And the problem is that we end up in a bubble. A bubble, we talk a lot about bubbles at the moment, but you end up with an information bubble where you start living with the information that only you have, which is unique to you. But you can end up thinking that the whole world is thinking in this way. And this can be really unhelpful and dangerous. So I actually typed in how to burst your filter bubble. And I think it's a good thing to do from time to time, where you just look at information which is a little bit more random and a bit more out of your bubble to see what you can discover. And when I looked that up, how to do that, they say one of the first things you need to do to mitigate the effects of the filter bubble is to get rid of your cookies. The cookies are the data that collects information on the web of where you've been and to predict what to show you next. So this particular website I'm looking at, Filter Bubbles in the Deep Web, how to burst your filter bubble, gives you information about how to delete cookies on whatever your browser that you're using. And then the other is to actually, on Facebook, how you can do it, changing your privacy settings and stuff. And then they say you can go incognito. So I know I use Google Chrome. You can go on incognito, and then there's some interesting websites that I don't know too much about that don't actually track your history, and it's private, avoiding the filter bubble. One of them they recommend is called DuckDuckGo, which I think is quite interesting. I think I've vaguely heard that one. It says you might like to choose DuckDuckGo, an alternative browser that does not track your history and is private, avoiding the filter bubble. Anyway, I thought let's do, we want to see more different news or new videos or new information with a bit of a random way. So let's see if we can see what happens. Bit of an experiment. So I'm on a incognito type thing right now. So let's type random YouTube videos. Maybe we can find something. So here you go, you have Google, and it's wanting us to agree to some information. This will probably create another bubble, so I need to maybe edit the settings a little bit, turn off maybe that might help. I haven't had a chance to kind of delete all these cookies and stuff. Maybe this will work. Maybe we'll find some new information, something that we're not used to. Random YouTube is perhaps a little bit too random. Let's see what happens anyway. It might work. It might not be a good idea. I don't know. Girls to Men. What's that? Okay. Channel 4. Oh my god, that is random. Oh wow, interesting. Transgender transmission time lapse. Okay, cool. So that was a unique TV program. I probably wouldn't have that probably wouldn't have popped up on my on my feed if I was normally searching. Oh,
How did we end up here?
that's actually a good
This
question.
place is horrible.
Is this the next random video? It is actually. Okay, this is an official trailer for the movie Birdman, which I haven't seen yet. Interesting.
Like balls. We had it all. You were a movie star, remember?
Who was this guy? He used to be Birdman.
I like that poster.
You wrote this adaptation?
I did, yeah.
You're directing and starring in your adaptation. That's ambitious.
Are you afraid people will say you're doing this play to battle the impression that you're a washed-up comic strip character? Absolutely not. That's why 20 years ago I said no to Birdman 4. Pull the mask off! You do Birdman 4?
What's going on?
Now you're about to destroy what's left of your career. We should reality show the ominous.
Shut up.
You know I'm right.
Okay, get the idea there. Trailer for the movie Birdman. Has anyone seen Birdman, by the way? Is it a good film? But you know what? If we're in these filter bubbles, and then we can end up watching the same type of films, the same type of movies, or the same episodes again and again. So in a way, this is quite good as well. Okay, let's maybe try it one more time, see what comes up. How do you go to the next video? Maybe I'll just reset here. We just had that Birdman trailer. It's not very random. Maybe if I go to the end of the video. So it's not very smooth, but anyway. Here's a video called Corunda puts the brakes on all future bike lanes after residents complain.
Toronto's wide streets, slow traffic, and bike paths make it a haven for cyclists. It won a national award for bike friendliness, and 70% of its students walk or bike to school. Cycling was supposed to get even easier as the city rolled out its 2011 Bike Master Plan. It calls for 12 more miles of bike paths.
Oh, wow.
Then at a city council meeting last week, residents started putting on the brakes.
Oh.
You are covering Coronado with paint stripe pollution.
Does anybody know where Coronado even is? Okay, maybe not. If you're just joining us, we're experimenting with trying to burst our filter bubble and watching different random content. And at the moment, we're doing videos. But the other thing is that it doesn't have to be just videos. You could do. I won't be able to do this because of you could do random radio stations. See if you go to this link here, you can actually listen to a random radio station. They don't look too random. Oh, I'm going to stop this because of it might stop our live stream if it's video copyright, for example, the YouTube and Facebook live stream. But you can do random radio. You could probably do a random website, random news website. What about that? That might help to burst our filter bubble. Some websites to find weird news. No, not weird news, random news. How to find news outside of filter bubble. Do that. Here's some information. BBC website. Okay, this is getting good. How algorithms and filter bubbles decide what we see on social media. Does everyone see the same news stories? This is what we're talking about. It may seem like the news affects everyone equally on a TV newspaper, and journalists and editors decide the kinds of stories that appear, meaning that everyone who watches or reads news will be seeing the same thing. But when we see news stories on social media, they're different. Interesting. I would say even on websites, it's probably a bit different too. Raddy from BBC My World looks at who decides what makes the news from offline to online sources. Very interesting. I wonder if we could watch this little video clip.
Hi, I'm Radzi, and today we're looking at who decides what you see, read, and hear in the news. Behind the scenes, there are journalists whose job it is to make decisions about the final report that's published. And increasingly, computer algorithms are being used to make decisions. So while you're watching, think about the choices that are made and how they affect the stories that appear in your timeline.
Interesting. That's what I've been talking about, these filter bubbles. So how can we... It's good to shake it up every now and then, so this will be good.
Everything you see and hear on the news is filtered. Because the number of things happening every day in the world is immeasurable. But journalists have limited space to report the news. When you get your news from the TV, radio, or news websites, senior journalists called editors are responsible for deciding which stories to tell, based on what they think you want to know and need to know. But when you get your news from apps, social media, and websites that aren't run by journalists, often computer programs decide what you see. These programs are operated by the companies that own the app or website. They might want you to see as many ads as possible, which makes them money, or try to influence your views. So they use algorithms to show you the content they think you want to see. Things that make you angry or happy, so you share them and attract more people to the site. One way to see the bigger picture is to get your news from lots of sources. See how different apps and websites prioritize differences and how the same story can be told in lots of different ways.
Now you can think about who makes the decisions when you watch the news or read a story online and why those decisions have been made. Is the story informative or entertaining? Does it hold power to account, or has it been published just to make money from advertising? Now you can apply this to your learning.
Interesting. So there we found out a bit more information about these filter bubbles and the algorithms, and they're saying that, you know, journalists make decisions normally, but then social media computers are making decisions about what we see. What I found interesting there is that the kind of social media companies could use stuff that makes us happy but also makes us angry, which is really interesting. I haven't found that so much, but it makes sense actually, because they want to create an emotional reaction, so we're more likely to share it. Let's see what it says about algorithms here as well. I'm just curious about that. The decisions around the types of posts that we see when scrolling through social media are in the hands of algorithms rather than people. Computer programs run by yeah, I know about that. The news stories. Yeah, so based on your search history, your shopping habits, the platforms you use, the details passed on when you sign on to things online, interesting, and your privacy settings. So that's something we can control if we take a bit of time. And then I was talking to you about these filter bubbles that impact what we end up seeing. If we take all algorithms, which is basically the computer programs, combine them with the fact that we tend to follow other social media accounts who share interests similar to us, which is why we end up in this bubble, it's not hard to see why we might only end up seeing a very small and specific view of the world in our feeds. This is called the filter bubble. And the clip below shows us how easy we can get trapped into one. Cool, let's check this out too. How long is this video? Okay, it's just a 1:30.
We've all been online and seen something that makes us mad. You share it, and suddenly it seems like everyone is also shocked and angry about it. It feels like the whole internet is reacting in the same way. But zoom out a little. You get a different picture. In fact, it's not the entire internet. It's just your filter bubble. The friends, family, work colleagues, and people you're connected with on social media probably share the same interests and opinions to you. So when things are seen or filtered through our social media feeds, it's sometimes easy to lose context. The danger of filter bubbles is that we only ever hear from one side of a story. Things that cause outrage and anger can be bounced around a social media network, and you become trapped in an echo chamber where everyone shares the same opinion. Not only that, the algorithms that power suggestions on social media are constantly highlighting people or channels that we probably agree with too. Misinformation and fake news can spread online easily this way when we limit who we hear from. So how do you get out of your filter bubble? Well, you need to broaden your horizons online. Follow people and pages on social media that you might not agree with, and visit a broad range of websites to see a bigger picture. And to really find out what the world outside the internet thinks about things, get offline yourself.
Oh, nice. I like that. That was a good video, actually. Some good tips there, especially at the end. Do you go to websites and read about information that you don't agree with? That's a good one to do. It's interesting, actually. I find it quite fascinating sometimes when I do that. And obviously getting offline is a real good one as well. It's the same as an echo chamber. You may have heard the terms echo chamber and filter bubbles used in the same way, but there's a distinction. Misinformation. Laura Garcia from First Draft, an organization working to protect people against misinformation, explains how these terms are different. An echo chamber is a way in which we only encounter information from like-minded people. Filter bubble is a space where previous online behavior influences what we see online. Okay, there's a slight subtle difference there. Both of them are probably kind of linked. And here's the tips to block it. So this is what we're doing. We're trying something new every day. So maybe we could try bursting our filter bubble today. So you could beat the algorithms. Algorithms cover your feed posts based on the people and the pages you already follow. Try to follow accounts that you disagree with. That way you'll start to see different takes on the story than the one you're used to. So maybe try, if you're into politics, try following the opposite party and see what they're talking about and discussing. If you are into a certain hobby, choose a different hobby or a different approach. Widen your sources. Don't always stick to your go-to socials or websites. Visit a broad range of places online to get a bigger picture and make sure the sources can be trusted. I think that's an important point there. You also need to be mindful because of some of these can be almost hypnotic in the way they say information and incorrect information or misinformation, but they repeat it in such a way it almost becomes hypnotic and you start to believe it. So make sure you have that ability to step back and see it from a wider perspective. Going offline, chatting to friends, family, and people at school in real life rather than just the stories from your filter bubble. Don't trust everything on your feed. Remember that other people might think differently. And there's other information here about what's spotting fake news. So this is from bbc.co.uk/bite size. I think that's like a learning thing for children and adults too. That was really fascinating. Well, thank you for joining me while I was exploring that. Love to hear your thoughts about these filter bubbles, these algorithms. Let me just finish with, where should I leave it? That can control what we see and the information we see and can influence us as well. And maybe the little challenge for today is to go into incognito mode or to delete your cookies or to maybe just visit a random radio station or random TV show, something you normally do, which may be more tempting, and just to and I think just that very process of trying something new and learning something new and different feels good. Thank you for a slightly longer video, but I just wanted to explore that a bit more deeply, just out of my personal curiosity too. Hope you have a great day and happy Thanksgiving. I hope you have a wonderful day and take the opportunity to practice some gratitude. I'll be sharing a 30-minute gratitude meditation that I recorded this morning in our club, and I'll be sharing that freely for everyone to enjoy. Have a great day, everyone. Bye for now.